Hi ladies and gentlemen, it's June 21st, 2013. And it's been a few days since I've been up on YouTube. And there have been some reasons. We've been actually working on some other information that's pretty critical. And that's kind of why I decided to make the video today. I'm not going to give out any specific information on that other than to say that I sent an email to friends of mine primarily, telling them that, basically between now and within the next week or two, some big events are going to happen. And I'm adjusting that a little bit to say that they are happening. The big traumatic thing may not occur, but the work up to it is beginning. We are seeing that. And I won't go into any particulars. This isn't changing the fact that it's happened. It's just now more or less explaining how it's unraveling, and I think that's how it's going to be, as it has been over the last several months, since the Boston bombing, of course. The government stories and lies have been exposed across the board on so many issues. They do not have your best interests at heart. They have their own interests at heart. Corporations that have their fingers in the government people that think they're going to get something out of it. I'm even beginning to believe now that what happened to General Petraeus was something he agreed to, and this was talked about early on. But I think it was kind of like, well, we'll toss you to the lions and then we'll set you up better than you were before. We'll bring you back and you'll be better than you were before as far as your opportunities. And that's what happened, isn't it? Even went so far as to kiss Kissinger in public. Man, that must have been a nasty taste. Well, I'm not talking very loud. Kind of tired. A lot of things going on. So this information that we're working on to show that it's this entire thing is starting to happen. I want to talk to you guys that have been working on this, and I figured this was the best way to do it. It's hard doing this thing over hundreds, thousands of miles, not seeing people face to face. But what's important is that we get the American people awake if we can. And I know, in staffs, in regular staffs, it's very difficult to keep the team well greased and running. You need to keep the final objective that I've talked about so often in mind. And that is that we need to do everything we can to support and sustain the Constitution of the United States, and most particularly that Bill of Rights. Now, we have to be careful on some things we do. We don't want to release what we find out too early. We don't want to wait too long. But one thing we do have to do is we have to have respect for one another's abilities and the fact of their independence in what we're doing. So when information is posted on the net, and it's along with the investigations that we're making, if it's on the net, it's open game, okay? Once it gets there, it really, really has to, you just have to let it go. Once you've made that step, you just have to let it go. And then we have to work on it from there. We're not a really well structured team at this point, right? So what we need to do is we need to have a little gentleness, I guess you could say, and gentlemanliness. So because of the fact that it's so difficult to work over these large distances, just remember that our goal is this constitutional republic, to save as much of it. Again, that Bill of Rights is most important. Being kind of nebulous here, but I think the people that I'm talking to will realize what it is I'm saying. So let's keep that objective in mind. And for those of you who have spent so much time and energy and really exposed yourself in trying to get this information together, you are heroes. And I want you to know that. I recognize it. All right. Well, enough said on that. I took a little too long, but just kind of like a pep talk. And that's really for everybody. Everybody that's trying to get this information, even regular people that come to the YouTube site, it's the same for you. Just being willing to ask the question and look at the evidence. Even if you don't make a decision on it, just looking at it, it is important. No condemnation before investigation. That's an old term, right? And I think that's good. Which brings us to some of the points I want to make up today, or talk about today. I don't make them up. I do these early in the morning for lots of reasons, and sometimes I'm not quite awake. Okay, we're seeing a terrible amount of civil unrest in Brazil, Turkey, other places. And governments respond by saying, no, you will do it this way. We're going to do it the way we tell you to. And the people are saying, but it doesn't work. And the governments have been stealing from their people, just like they have here in the United States. And these civil unrests are going to start here. That's what DHS is getting worked up for. They know it's coming. They're instigating it. And rather than correcting the government, they're going to force you into slavery. And that's what they do in these other countries as well. Well, what I want to say is this. I bring scriptures into these things sometimes. I'm going to give you a scripture, and it says, the small things of the earth, the small people, okay? Those who have been put down, poor, their money stolen from them, their property stolen from them, their kids killed in wars, etc. The small things of the earth shall come forth and break down the mighty and strong ones. Just want you, DHS and DOJ and CIA and New World Order people, all you guys that are into this thing, NSA, to take rights away, to violate the Constitution under some pretense that you're saving lives, which is counterproductive, is an oxymoron. You will be brought down. All right? It's going to happen because arrogance and criminality can only be allowed to go so far. And the small things of the earth are going to do that to you. Okay? That's just the way it is. It's a shame what's been happening. And I'm going to get into some more of that here in just a few minutes. But I had to bring that up because it's so true. It's always been that way. I'm not so sure it's as a prophecy as much as it is a cyclical thing. But this time they might have some help. Okay, the FBI finally admits that it's using drones for surveillance. It's been denied. Like I said, government lies when the truth would serve them better. They lie no matter what. They're basically just liars by nature. I think those are the types of people that get into these positions. They're psychotic. But at any rate, you know that they have more than what they've revealed. And they've even the DHS, okay? And the DHS is very much involved in this NSA spying in that they're getting the information and using it against the people. And against, as it's come out, people in the government that don't go along, whether they're congressmen, senators, judicial people, people in the different agencies. It's about loyalty, not about the rule of law. I heard Obama say one day when he was talking about Snowden, he says, well, this is a nation that's ruled by laws, and you're going to be punished if you violate the law. Well, really? Well, he's a good example of that, isn't he? He's outside the rule of law all the time. He demands loyalty to himself and his agenda rather than the rule of law. So he's a hypocrite and a liar, and he's a murderer, okay? I'm losing my temper every time I talk about these people. And it doesn't matter who it is in government. And there is an internal war going on. There is. But they're all thieves. They're all fighting against each other for power. So I don't think they're at all concerned with the end result being that we are more free. That's not it. They're all just fighting amongst themselves for the power trip. It's getting bad. It's going to get worse. Okay, the Senate bill. It's going to allow 40 million illegals in the U.S. to stay, get welfare, get free education, all this. Now, as I said before, I'm all for helping people out. That's the charitable thing to do. But when others are put before the citizens of the United States who have been here and doing all they can to follow the rules of the system, and then this group of people is brought in for, future votes or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's wrong to do it. Remember you said, Obama, we're a nation of laws? Well, why doesn't the federal government enforce the laws? That's what forced Arizona and some of these southern states to do what they've done, because you haven't. Because you've moved this whole thing to your advantage. You want to bring the United States, and you people that are for this immigration bill and all this stuff because you think it's the right thing to do, this used to be Mexico, whatever, you are going to destroy the very lives you think you're going to create. You're going to lose it all because of this. It's not a trendy thing. It's not a progressive thing. It's stupidity. If it was so great, why doesn't Mexico open up its borders to people from the south? You know what happens. And this is the case anywhere. It's not a matter of being charitable and bringing people in. There's only a limit to how much a society can sacrifice in behalf of others. And if they sacrifice to the point where they can't take care of themselves any longer, that's not the definition of sacrifice. I'm sorry, you got the wrong idea. We have to be able to sustain ourselves and do what we can, not be forced into it. This is going to be a problem. I'm really surprised Rand Paul's supporting it. Politics as usual. Okay, the FEMA camps are ready to go, all right? 72 hours notice, they have to be staffed. Now, we've known about that for a long time, but it's really, really getting to that point now. You've seen all these things happen with Breitbart. We just saw Michael Hastings. And yes, I believe he was assassinated. Do I know that? I'm not privy to the evidence, but you look at the circumstances, the fact that he was investigating the CIA, like Breitbart was investigating Obama. Isn't it interesting? All these people that are surrounding these issues get, their jobs taken from them, they get disappeared, or they get killed in strange circumstances. You really think this guy's going to go down the road as fast as he was? I think they're right. He was either being chased, and then there may have been a bomb in his car. I really don't know. I don't believe that he died from hitting the tree. I don't believe that, just from what I've seen. I don't believe that for a minute. He didn't hit the tree and then the thing blew up. That's not what happened. And you guys in the police departments that are helping to cover this up, like I said, this whistleblower thing, you need to come forward. Stop this business of worrying about your paycheck. Don't you know they're going to kill you and your families eventually? They always kill the collaborators because they want to cover up their tracks. They use you because you're patsies, because you're dumb, ignorant fools. You go along with the system because you think you're going to get something out, and then they're going to turn around, they're going to put a bullet in the back of your head. Don't you see that? You got to point out these things. Come public. So what if you lose your job? It's like I said the other day, you keep your soul. No greater love hath a man than this, than to lay down his life for his fellow man. Stop being so damn selfish. You're not going to have a place in this new world order. I'm sorry, you're not. Other than as a slave, which you already are and you don't even know it. You're going to have about 48 to 72 hours when they lower the hammer. Either the banks having a bank holiday or some type of an event. You're going to have 48 to 72 hours to get the hell out of Dodge. Okay? I'll leave it at that. I won't say any more. Okay. Saw something great on Drudge today. State nullification is gaining steam. We hear mostly about Missouri, but there have been some other states as well. And they go across the board on gun issues, marijuana issues, health care, all kinds of things where they're saying that they don't need to follow these federal mandates that are unconstitutional, these federal laws. And then, of course, the federal government and their pundits, their little lackeys, come out and say, the Supremacy Clause of the United States says the federal law takes precedence. No, it does not. You know why? Because if it doesn't abide by the rest of the Constitution, it is unconstitutional and unlawful. Merely because the federal government passes a law doesn't mean that the Supremacy Clause says it's good. That's not how the Supremacy Clause was made. And you judicial people and you lawyers that try to make this happen, just like you did with the Interstate Commerce Clause, you are criminals. If it doesn't abide by the Constitution, it is unconstitutional and unlawful. So the Supremacy Clause has that caveat in it. And you always fail to read the rest of it. So, nullification is okay. And this is what I'm talking about this entire country being split up. And you're probably doing this on purpose, okay? But really, we don't have any other choice. It is going to come down to a division of the states. They're going to be fighting with each other and with the federal government, which is going to be totally destroyed. And I hope you realize that. That's where we're going with this thing, because that's what they want. They want everyone to starve and to lose everything that they have, including their lives. This is crazy. And if you don't understand this is going on, it's because you just don't want to. Alarmist? No. This is history. If there's anything I know, it's history. And it does repeat itself. And your promises by your leaders, we'll never use the NDAA. Then why give it to them? Why give them the indefinite detention clause in the NDAA if they're not going to use it? They say, well, give it to us, but we'll never use it. No! Do you give a person a bullet to shoot you with? They're going to use it. Like they have been. And like they will. Assassinating journalists and ruining their lives and criminalizing their profession. Journalists, if they do their job, and I realize the mainstream media has not done their job for a long time, but when they do, just like President Kennedy said, it keeps the government on the straighter and narrower path. Otherwise, they go wild, uncontrolled. And that's what we've been seeing. And this hasn't just been under Obama. And I know that. Bush didn't even start it either, but he sure accelerated with his whole unlawful fake war on terrorism. He started the Patriot Act. He did, no, I don't like him. He needs to be brought up on war crimes charges as well, and human rights violations and violations under the Constitution of the United States. And all those members of Congress that went along with that stuff because they don't even know what the Constitution says. I hear Dianne Feinstein say, I've been a senator for so many years, and of course I know the Constitution. No, you don't. And if you do, then you're violating it by choice. Well, I'm really on one today. Okay. You vets, that were overseas, that were in Iraq, if you were there during the times that they were blowing up those bunkers with the nerve agent in them, which, by the way, was U.S. nerve agent, okay? Saddam Hussein didn't have the ability to make any of this stuff. This was left over from the Iran-Iraq war, just like we've always said. And, they told you not to worry about it, and you've been hearing some of this in the news lately. Remember what I said before. You come back here and you're considered a terrorist, all right? So they've been denying that this stuff ever happened to you. They want you to die. They want you to go and work for them overseas. Do you understand how this works? You get your vaccinations. You get your, whatever it is they put in that soup. It has a time bomb in it based on biological predispositions. You go into a place like that, you get exposed to DU and to things like this when they blew up these bunkers. And then you come back and you get sick. They want you to die because they don't want you to be opposing them. Okay? That's all by design. Yes, I do believe that. And history, again, would prove me out. We need to be suspect of government. It is not it is not our master. It is supposed to be our servant to our dictates in the confines of the Constitution. So that there's no majoritarian coercion, none of this baloney about the majority says that we can do this. I've often heard another commentator say, democracy is not what we want because it's two wolves and a lamb deciding who's for dinner. That's what the Constitution was designed to prevent. All right, and I've already talked about Michael Hastings. Like I say, it's a little early in the morning here. So not a whole lot of good, meaty stuff to sink your teeth into. That's because I'm watching some other stuff very closely, as I've mentioned at the beginning of the video. We are starting to see the movements of things that indicate that they're getting ready to drop a major hammer on this country. It could be any number of triggers at this point. And as I said, I thought it might be within the next week or two that the major event happens. But really, I think what's occurring is, as I said before, we're seeing the work up to it. It's all happening. It's all congealing. It's all going forward. And it's all part of the one, mission that they have, the one objective, which is to take us down. It is on the move. And I think we could see something major also happen abruptly. But either way or the other, it is happening now. So we need to work together. We need to be smart about it. You know, we need to look at the information as it comes and get it out in a strategically beneficial manner. Okay, that's true. Don't want to play your hand before, you know, you got it all. But sometimes the information is so important for the rest of the country that we need to tell a little bit about what we know. All right. Very nebulous this morning. I just wanted to let you know I'm still looking. I'm still on top of stuff here. Have some very good people working on some things that are really a danger to them, but they take their former oath that they took, if they took an oath, or just the fact that they're great Americans. Okay, they see what's going on, so they're risking a lot. And thanks, guys. All right. Okay. I'll get back to you if anything else comes up that I can, talk about.